Alright, I want to show you guys a couple of little editable spline tools to help you out. We're going to show you the world space modifier, PathDeform, P-A-T-H, deform. We'll apply it to a similar weapon that we did in class, which will be the that circular frisbee of death thing. So we'll start off with circle. Let's go ahead and I'm in shapes, not in the 3D primitives. So we'll start with a circle as our base outline, and then we're going to create the actual curve of the blade, the actual profile of the blade. And I'm going to use a circle on that as well. So I'm just going to place this on the corner here. Alright, so we have that there. So now that I'm here, let's convert that to an editable spline. Now, editable spline is using 4 Bezier corner verts, or Bezier verts, which is great because that gives us an easy, nice, mashable thing to work with. Just slide this over here, and we'll change this one, right click to a corner. So now we got our blade. I go to the element, which is the spline, and I'm going to scale this down so it gets a nice profile. We'll start with that. Alright, so now what I need to do is actually get this to extrude into an actual 3-dimensional shape. So I'll do a quick extrude. So let's go ahead and make it, everything's upside down. So let's go ahead and rotate this way. Turn angle snap on and rotate it 90 degrees. Turn on profile. So let's go ahead and jack that up to 150. And we need segments. We've been doing 16 segments for our spheres and for our cylinders. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for this. It's got a lot of polygons, so we can change that in the actual editable spline with the interpolation. Turn that on so you can see how I'm doing. So we'll change that to 3. Alright, so there's our basic shape, and what we need to do is get this thing to deform to this thing. The way we do that is we're actually looking for what is called a world space modifier, and we're looking for path, P-A-T-H, deform, not patch. We need PathDeform. Click on that. So now what we're doing is we're going to bind this object to this shape right here by using this modifier. I'll pick path, click on the path that I want to shape it to. Now let's go ahead and say move to path. Let's close the button so we can see the modifier. We pick the path, so let's move to path. Now we're starting to see what we really like. So let's play around with the stretch. We can either go with the extrude and change the amount, or definitely let's change that count. Let's make that 24. We could also go with stretch right here and get that to fit here. Stretch is a little finicky. It's a little easier to do with the actual extrude. But either way, we got our shape now. Our frisbee of death is basically established. The neat thing about this binding is that it allows us to actually still manipulate the shape of our spline while still, while working in a 3D object. So let's talk about that. So I go to vertex mode. We'll go here. Let's add an actual blade deformation to this. So let's actually separate the handle aspect from the blade aspect. And we'll do this. We'll do some quick refining, and then we'll go ahead and give it an edge here. So let's move that down and move this down. Now I'm working in Bezier curves, and if I move the curve, it's going to move both sides of the move one handle, it's moving both handles. If I go in here and hold shift, I can break the handle into a Bezier corner, and then I can actually get a little bit more of a tighter angle. Hold shift again to break that, and so now it's giving me a little. It's the same thing as making it a corner, but I'm just working in a faster method by using the keyboard shortcuts. And let's add some diabolical look to it. Let's make sure these are corner. Bezier, not Bezier corner. So we lock the handles. Drop that down. we go. Starting to kind of get a menacing look to it. Alright, so let's go in here and take a look at what we got here for our blade. Way more attractive. Now our blade's a little bit deadlier. We can add some meat to our handle. So what I'm going to do is actually refine again. I'm going to just pull this piece out. Pull this piece up. Now it looks like the blade should look like the blade's embedded in the handle, and that's going to be a lot more fun to play around with. Alright, so go back up here. Now, the caveat with this thing is that these are bound objects, so we cannot move each object independently. I have three basic objects in here. I have the shape that I created the blade shape from, and then I have the actual outline of the blade, which is this shape right here. If I hit Shift and G, hide the geometry, so I have this circle bound to this object. So if I move just the object, I'm getting different kind of response than what I'm expecting. So I'm moving this thing in the Z, and all it does is spin. I move it in the Y, and it moves into the Z. If I move it into the X, it scales to the actual shape of the circle. If I need to move this, I need to select both the shape and the circle, then I can move it together. If I want to get this to be an edible poly so I can add more detail to it, I want to change it up, break it up, whatever I need to do, get to the UVs as they are, like in this format, what I need to do is actually go ahead. I'm going to hit Control V as in Victor and make a clone. I make a copy of that. Now I have, if I go look up here, I have the circle of the shape that I made, the first object, and then the clone object that I just made. So let's take that clone, let's go ahead and name it Frisbee of Death 01. And now what I need to do is collapse 2, and that'll convert it to an edible mesh. Now it's separated from the actual circle that I created the original outline for, and it's its own object. So the binding is gone, the shape has been created, and all we have to do now is weld these vertices, and that's easy. So we'll go ahead and make it an edible poly. Go to polygon. I'm selecting the polygons right here and deselecting around it so that I got just those two caps right there. I can delete those, go to border, scale them down, make sure the pivot point's in the center for the selection, and then I can scale them together, Control to click on vertex to convert the selection, click on weld. Okay, now let's test to see if there's any more borders in here. The borders are gone, our object is airtight, and it's ready to go. And that's how we could create a circle of a Frisbee of Death with using PathDeform World Space modifier.